Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. Hey, all you minties. Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for my overview of the Green Lantern Green Arrow Travelin Heroes Omnibus from DC Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. What we're looking at here is the new Green Lantern Omnibus. This is Green Lantern Green Arrow Travelin Heroes. Now, that title has been used many times at DC Comics for this collection, sort of, part of this collection. This has a lot more than the previously released Travelin Heroes Deluxe Edition, trade paperback. Actually, there was a series of 2 trade paperbacks, and there was a standard size hardcover and Absolute Edition, which will do an internal comparison. Not necessarily the size of the artwork, but what the art looks like, because they are using different paper stocks. But it has been released in Absolute Edition. But like I said, this has a lot more. So let's take a closer look at the cover here. This is the cover that is going to be available everywhere. There is a DCBS cover that you can get from In-Stock Trades or DCBS. And that's the one on the left-hand side. That's the cover there. And that's the one, actually, that's from like the Space Traveling Heroes era of this omnibus. But everything underneath the dust jacket is the same, so let's take a closer look at this. We have this wonderful cover here by Neal Adams that kind of shows exactly what happens. I want to say for like the first third of the book. They are at odds with each other. So you have the Green Lantern Green Arrow logo here. No co-starring, because it is both of them, not like the title in the actual single issues. You have Dennis O'Neil, Neal Adams, Mike Grell, Dick Giordano, and Alex Saviuk. And then Travelin Heroes Omnibus, the complete saga, the DC logo down there. And then again, the creators up here, you have Green Lantern, Green Arrow. I really like that logo, that look, because it's the one that they used inside the book. And another piece here by Neal Adams, Travelin Heroes Omnibus, the DC logo. And he's being burned alive by his own brand of power. That's right. Ooh, the drama. And a little bit about what this book contains and the stories collected in here. And again, some of the creators in bold letters. And the retail price, $125, the ISBN down there. So let's take a look underneath the dust jacket here. Look at the flaps. Oh, yes. Nice. And this is actually a blown-up version of the front dust jacket cover here. And then again, the spine. Looking identical to the spine of the actual dust jacket. But we are going to crack this book open, and I'm going to talk about the stories found in here, look at this artwork, look at the extras, and do a little bit, like I said, of the internal comparison of what the art looks like in this different paper stock. Okay, let's get this omnibus opened. Here are your end sheets. Again, both Hal Jordan and Oliver Queen on opposite sides of each other. And here's your title page, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Travelin Heroes Omnibus. And, of course, the credits over here. Dennis O'Neil. I think a lot of people think of Travelin Heroes as Dennis O'Neil and Neal Adams' era of Green Lantern, and rightly so, because that is Travelin Heroes. However, Travelin Heroes is about a third of this book, maybe a little bit more, because the rest is some stuff that has never been made into a deluxe edition, especially into an omnibus edition all in one. So you have people like Mike Grell coming into the book, and also people like Dick Giordano, who did a lot of the pencils and inks in here. Terry Austin, Bruce Patterson, Neal Adams also doing some of his own inks. As a matter of fact, I think like there's an issue here, yeah, by Bernie Wrightson doing the inks of Neal Adams. It's crazy. I love that stuff. But Joe Staton, Jim Aparo, Trevor Von Eden, and Juan Ortiz, just to name a few of those creators. And then you have Bob Haney, Bob Rozakis, and Frank McNeedy doing some of the writing, as well as Carrie Burkett, and then your colorists down here like Adrian Roy and Corey Adams and Elizabeth Safian, and some of the letters like Ben Oda and John Costanza, and a little bit about the collections right here. Your table of contents letting you know where you're going to find each of the books. But I love when they do this because it's not just where you're going to find each of the books, what page they're on, what the title of that story is called, where it originated from, and the release date of said title. And then who the writer was, who the penciler was, who the inker was, the colorist, and letter. I love that. And it's quite a bit of stories here. And one thing you're going to note is that there's a little bit of a jump in between the last issue of the Green Lantern until it comes back. And there's a story behind that. And I'll explain what that is here in a little bit. But just look at that. All those pages right here. That's awesome. This book has a lot more pages than what it originally was solicited for. You have a forward here. And this forward is by Dennis O'Neil. Now, of course, this was written in, I think this is from the original trade paperback. Yeah, it's originally published in the Green Lantern, Green Arrow collection, Hard Traveling Heroes, Volume 1, June 1992. Talking about, how he got attached to the project. And then your introduction here from Mike Grell. I have read this before, but Mike Grell's introduction is new. And he talks about his history with Green Lantern and Green Arrow. But mainly, really, Green Arrow and how he came onto the book 3 different times, or how it's impacted his life in 3 different points of his life at different ages. Once being in the military, before he was a comic book artist, once when he was a comic book artist, and then once when he was a little bit older, coming back to a character that he had gotten the draw in an earlier time. So in here you do have Green Lantern 76 to 87, 89 to 123, World's Finest Comics 201, and then this is where you get the stories from Brave and the Bold 100, the DC Special Series number 1, DC Superstar 17, Flash 218 to 224, 226 to 228, 230 to 231, 233 to 234, 237 to 238, 240 to 246, the Green Lantern 80th Anniversary 100 Super Spectacular number 1, World's Finest 210 and 255. And like I said, this book has a total of 1,376 pages. Now, let's talk about what this story is about. What makes Hard Traveling Heroes stand out? What makes it so beloved amongst the comic book community, especially for, the people that were reading it at the time, and, for comic historians, because, these stories were around in the early 70s. So how much of it does it still resonate with readers? I do think, at least in my opinion, that some of these stories are just timeless. Okay, so let's talk about the first third, the part of the book that's actually named for, or the omnibus is named after, and that's Hard Traveling Heroes. So a little bit of background: the book Green Lantern was about to get canceled, and then Julius Schwartz decided, you know what, let's see if this guy, Dennis O'Neil, can come up with a concept to keep the book alive. And he was kind of given free rein with Neil Adams to do whatever they wanted to do on the book. And the book at one time was really popular. You had like Gil Kane working on the book, and then he left. Of course, he went on to work on Spider-Man after leaving the Green Lantern book. So what they decided to do was team up Green Lantern with Green Arrow and bring the book a little more grounded. And it's less about intergalactic battles in space, Green Lantern solving these galactic issues, and more about bringing the character, because Hal Jordan is from Earth, down here to solve a little bit of the world's problems going on. And the world's problems at this time is just kind of a mirror of what was going on in society. And the way that Dennis O'Neil did it, and of course Neil Adams coming in with some of those storylines too, because it's not just really a Dennis O'Neil show, because Neil Adams did help a lot, not just drawing the issues. What he did was make Green Lantern realize that we've got problems here on Earth that need to be solved. And it all starts with this elder black man right here, who confronts Hal Jordan and telling him that, he fights for the Blue Man. And I think this these panels have been shared many times, or at least I've seen it on the internet, that he fights for the blue skins, he's helped out the orange skins, he's helped out the purple skins, but what about the black skins? Why can you help out the black skins? And that's what makes Green Lantern realize that, okay, well, we definitely have problems at home. Why am I going off? I know this, 2814 is my sector. Why do I keep fighting out in space? I need to fix the problems back home. So he's not alone. This is when Green Arrow appears. And then, of course, it's not as easy as like, hey, I quit. I need to take a break. The Guardians are like, well, we're going to send a representative with you. What was interesting about the book is that you had the character of Green Arrow, who didn't really have a comic book back then, come in. He had just been modernized for the time, again, in the early 70s. Still looking like Robin Hood, with a little bit of more of a modern origin story to his character. But what Dennis O'Neil did was make them a little bit different. You had them at opposing sides because you had Green Arrow, who's liberal, right? Like fighting for the rights of everybody, as you're going to see through here, the problems that they dealt with. And you had the conservative, that is Hal Jordan, who was a cop in space. And his views are different than that of Green Lantern, or Green Arrow, sorry. And even though Ollie and Hal are friends, you're going to see a lot of them yelling at each other because they're trying to make each other understand where each of them are coming from. So in here, yeah, you're going to see racial division, you're going to see bigotry, sexism, you're going to see some Christian cults, as they call them, people that were pretending to be, or at least claiming to be, the reincarnation of Jesus, and how they're dealing with these issues during this time. Is it in your face? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's in your face. The premise alone is them going around America fighting these social issues that were going around. And a lot of it came from the mind of Dennis O'Neil, right? That was just a lot of his philosophy of what was happening. Just like a lot of the TV shows, especially like the sci-fi TV shows, were dealing with their own issues back then in their own way. They still included some superhero elements in here. But for the most part, it is the story of Green Lantern and Green Arrow going around and just, honestly, sometimes not even able to fix any of the issues. Now, Black Canary does star in some of these. And then eventually you are going to see the title, unfortunately, get canceled. But everything is in here. This is great. Like, you have the World's Finest issue in here. It doesn't feature Green Arrow, but it does feature Green Lantern, the team up with Superman. Now, Green Lantern was not Green Lantern, Green Arrow. Like, you're not missing anything by just getting this omnibus, right? Like, because I said that it starts collecting Green Lantern 76 to 87. And I'm sure one thing you notice is when I'm looking at the actual covers of these books, that the title says Green Lantern, Green Arrow. It was just always known as Green Lantern. Like, there was a Green Lantern 75, and then it started with the Green Lantern co-starring Green Arrow 76. Unfortunately, the title did get canceled. Now, there is an issue that's missing from here, so it's issue 88. It's a team up between the Golden Age Green Lantern and the Silver Age Green Lantern, which is Hal Jordan and Alan Scott. But it was a reprint I think it was from a Showcase comic, if I'm not mistaken. So that kind of gives you an idea, and I don't want to go into details, because I think when most people think of these issues, they probably think of that panel that I showed you with that elder black gentleman confronting Hal Jordan, and then my sidekick is a junkie storyline, because there were a lot of drug problems back when I saw an interview. No, I remember reading one of the introductions about Dennis O'Neil and like where the ideas came from, and a lot of it was because of the neighborhood that he was living in at the time. And I think it was in New York, and how he was dealing with that. And I think those two are probably the most famous stories out of here. But for a lot of people, this is also the introduction of this gentleman right here, and that is John Stewart, who will become the new Green Lantern. And there is a reason why he was chosen as a substitute for Hal Jordan for a while. So this is his first appearance. And then, of course, issue 88 is the missing issue because it's a reprint from the Showcase. So this kind of gives you an idea as to what this was. And when the series got canceled, the backup stories started coming out in the Flash comics. That's why you saw material from Flash. Not every Flash comic had a backup story for featuring Green Lantern and Green Arrow. And eventually, Green Lantern does end up with his own little buddy that's not Green Arrow for a while. And I find this little dude interesting. That is Itty. And Itty is around for a long time. He's, what is he, at Aerie, I think is what he's called. And he becomes like a little sidekick. Like Hal Jordan talks to him a lot. This is when he is devolved into a caveman. You're going to see some characters from the DC universe. I know you just saw characters like Superman. You are going to see classic villains in here from the Green Lantern's Rogue Gallery, like Sinestro. So a third of the book is them grounded here on Earth, dealing with problems, social problems that we have here. And again, both of them coming from opposing sides and trying to meet halfway. The rest of this volume is when Mike Grell eventually got involved, and I love that introduction. Read that introduction. I promise it doesn't spoil anything. Talking about how he got involved with the project, and then when he was given the opportunity to draw Green Lantern and Green Arrow when it was coming back. So the title was canceled, but then a couple of years later, the title did come back. And not... Okay, all the Green Lantern and Green Arrow stuff is in here, but there was more. I mean, the title went on to about, what, issue 200, right before Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then I think it became Green Lantern Corps in issue 201. So you are going to see some other Green Lanterns through here, not just the character of Sinestro. Again, Rogue Galleries from Hal Jordan, and some of them from Ollie's world too, not just Dinah there. Black Canary showing up through here as a guest star. You're going to see some characters coming back from the Golden Age, like Airwave. This other Hal Jordan that's around, and Green Lantern can actually summon him, if you will. And you can find out what I mean by reading the book. So, while the first part is here on Earth, the rest of the book is really like Space Traveling Heroes. I really think there was a collection called Space Traveling Heroes, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think I'm witty enough to come up with that. You're going to see team-ups here with Batman and Superman. There is a couple of issues where Ollie shaves, and he has to go undercover. And that's not the Clue Master. I think that's the... Oh, what is this guy named? The Crumbler? Yeah, this is the Crumbler, if I'm not mistaken. Because I thought it was the Clue Master at first. I'm like, I don't remember the Clue Master. Yeah, the Crumbler. The Clue Master having those abilities. So you're going to see them fight a lot, but then you're going to see why they're good friends, and at the end of the day, how they come together to try to defeat villains or cults, or just try to fight off the drug problem in America at that time. Especially when Speedy is revealed to be a junkie. And this is issue 123 of Green Lantern. And I think, yeah, that is a Gil Kane cover, if I'm not mistaken. And in issue 123 is when we got the title back to just Green Lantern. So if you have like issue 122, oh, time travel. There's time travel in here as well. So you have issue 121, Green Lantern, Green Arrow. And then in issue 122 is you'll have the Green Lantern, Green Arrow for, well, I want to say for the last time back then, and then the title was reverted back to Green Lantern. Not all the stories, again, are written by Dennis O'Neil, and this is the return of Sinestro. Now, you do have the retroactive Green Lantern story, all of it in here, and the art is by Mike Grell. So you do have the final Dennis O'Neil story collected in here, too. Before he passed away. And unfortunately, I don't think he got to see it published. You have the little backup stories here from the 80th anniversary 100 special. And it's really cool to see just these two giants in the industry team back up. And then you have some of the covers here by, of course, Neil Adams, with some of the modern colors. Are you people crazy? He's trying to save us all. Stop. You don't know what you're doing. Man, there was a lot of drama back then. This is the slipcase of the Absolute Edition. And then this is the backup story. This is actually found in the Absolute Edition right here, because this is the one by Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams. Yeah. And you have DC Specials right here. Dennis O'Neil and Mike Grell. And what's unique about this one, because they don't really do this for DC Omnis a lot. I've seen it happen before, but they have the letter pages. And I don't know if it's all of them, but it's a lot of them for the Green Lantern era. The Dennis O'Neil and the Neil Adams era. So there is a lot of letter pages from that era. And then it goes from like 89 to 90. So it's got some stuff after Neil Adams left the book. But I think 90 is the last letter page that they collect here. Or, I'm sorry, 92 is the last letter pages. But they're not at the end of the issues, right? I love when they collect them at the end of the issues, because to me, I love just reading what people were thinking of the stories back then. But they are collected back here. But 92 is the last one, so there's not any from 93 to 123. I don't have any of those issues, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure they had letter pages. And you have these introductions here that were originally published in Green Lantern and Green Arrow. And that's the Dennis O'Neil introduction, the postscript here by Dennis O'Neil, and the biographies. Dennis O'Neil, Neil Adams, Mike Grell, Dick Giordano, Alex Saviuk, and Dick Dillon, Vince Colletta, Adrian Roy, Corey Adams, Ben Oda, and John Costanza. And your end sheets here. Now let's look at the build of the book. 1,376 pages. It is sewn binding. The paper stock is that paper stock that DC has been using. I know I get repetitive saying that for the last year, but if you haven't bought a DC Omni in the last couple of years, they have changed the paper stock. It's not the thick, glossy paper stock they used to use. It's like this satin type of paper. So there's a little bit of bleed through. We've seen worse, but we've also seen better. Honestly, the eyes are usually really good on these. It's a small eye. Maybe it's just my copy, but I think I opened it up quite a bit and stretched it. So let's look at the way it looks over when there's spread pages here at the very beginning. There is just a little bit of gutter loss, not much. So if you hold it down, you can see the whole image right there. Now, what I want to do is compare it to the Absolute Edition, just a couple of pages, mainly because this is the satin paper they're using for New Omnis, and in the Absolute Edition, most of the time they use thick, glossy paper stock, but for this edition, it's this thick matte paper. So the way the colors look, they look really like more vibrant over here in the Omni edition. So maybe people appreciate more of the matte, flatter colors, or matte paper stock with the flatter colors, compared to a little bit of the more vibrant colors because of the satin paper stock they're using here. Again, of course, the artwork is going to look bigger because this is an Absolute Edition, and just to kind of give you an idea on the differences, which is very, very subtle. I mean, I don't even know if it comes across on video. Okay, now, one of the things that I did notice is in this edition of the Absolute, we have this page right here, which, again, this could be just my copy, which is flipped with that page, which in the Omnibus edition, it's actually the correct order. So, you have them threatening her, and then Black Canary just wiping the floor with them. Whereas over here, Black Canary is wiping the floor with these guys, and then she's being threatened by these motorcyclists. But that was about the only goof up I found in the Absolute Edition, but they were able to fix it here in the Omnibus Edition. And that was a quick little comparison, but that's it. Hard Traveling Heroes, if you've never read it, you are in for a treat. The rest of the Space Traveling Heroes stuff is a lot of fun too, especially if you're just a fan of like intergalactic worlds that are crazy. And when Green Lantern, or I guess any superhero, has a little sidekick that they talk to. And sometimes that little thing doesn't talk back. I do like the character of Airwave, like again, a Golden Age character that is kind of unique to Green Lantern. But anyway, what the hell was I saying? Yeah, that's it. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, And you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over 40 euros. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus, and the quick little comparison to the Absolute Edition, which of course doesn't contain as much as this edition. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Check us out on Spreadshop and Patreon. Amazing ways to support the channel. That's it, everybody. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.